see the entire screen, please?
Is that better?
It's a little better, but you can see that the bottom is going to be cut off once it starts. But it's better than it was. Thank you.
Great spirit again, are we rolling? I feel like rolling. Everyone will go to Red Cross Spirit today, right?
You enjoyed the concert last week?
The devil is a liar. No, I didn't bother. I saw you on TV though. I saw you there.
Of course, big time.
They can show off, eh? Boy, you can show off. So, good morning, folks. This is again one of your shorter topics. We would have touched on this again. We crossed over from 1 or 2 classes before, so ain't like we can be here all day. But I have some additional information to give you on your paper. Just some little nuggets of information to assist. I mean, if you want it, that is. You know, we could, like Ginger told me this morning, I don't need no information from you. I can do it all on my own. I'm like, okay, Ginger. You. Sure enough. All right. I placed a copy of the paper from last week, as promised, on the desk, so you'll have a copy of that. And today's exercise, I do have a copy of this, but yeah, if you want to make your little notes, there's nothing wrong with that. So, having said that, compliance systems. Last class, we talked about a lot of the controls. This is centered really around the various controls you would need to have in place to mitigate the risk. Because last week we spoke about risk management. So you have a good understanding of risk. You know, just in case. Like we use the examples with insurance, having in place mitigating factors, just in case this happens. And having the appropriate risk appetite. And we always joke about with the buffet line. You don't just go to the buffet and try to sample everything, because your stomach only so big. Only so much you could take on. Yeah? So the appropriate risk appetite. You don't go after every single prospect. There can be some prospects, boy, they look good. I will exceed my targets. Matter of fact, I got a call from a relationship manager this week, and they're like, "Oh, this person want to bring all this money over, $500,000. It looks so good, man, and all that money on deposit will make me look good, and it'll pass my target for this period." And I said, "Oh, okay, that sounds nice." And I, okay, so why are you calling me? Well, I just want to run something by you. You know, it's always they don't give you the whole story. I'm like, he was mentioned on the front page of the Punch, and you know, the Punch is just allegations, right? Where he was, some cocaine involved and whatever, and he's a court mod and this and that. I said, okay, so why are you calling me? Well, is it a risk? I said, okay, now you won't call me now because you see something out in the public domain now, and there's possibility of a reputational risk. I said, okay. I have 3 questions for you. Hey, how are you? There is supposedly negative news, allegations. Okay, that's 1 strike. What's the source of this funds that he's bringing over to us? Oh, it's being funds from his account at another institution. Okay, what did he do to generate the money that he was able to put the monies into the account of that institution that he's now able to withdraw it to bring it to us? Oh, he's bringing a receipt, the withdrawal receipt and whatever. I mean, that ain't telling me nothing. All that's saying is that he has an account over there. Perhaps, you know, in the compliance world, I won't get you off my book as quick as possible. You know, we do make phone calls around sometimes. You know, if someone is moving from your institution with $1 million and it's coming to this institution, you always think, okay, why another commercial bank, our competitor, is losing this client who want to bring $1 million? No one lets $1 million walk, you know? And of course, the headline and the punch. So I was like, okay, yeah. I said, let me ask you this question. Do you have a level of comfort? Are you willing to sign off and say that I am comfortable? I could tell you that on the phone. I said, no. Are you prepared to put that in writing? No. That's why I come to compliance. So like, okay. You ain't got a lot of parties on it. So every little thing you want to come run to me, right? I just want to get your take on it. Just come back and tell me you don't have an issue. I said, no, I don't wait like that. I got a number of questions. We have to have in place the appropriate controls. Before you even get to that stage, do we have the risk appetite for this client? Therein lies comprehensive compliance systems to mitigate against any risk, major risk. There will always be risk. Every client is risk, but you have to look again at the appetite and what you're willing to accept. When that, how do you say it now? How Delaware like say it? When the proverbial thing hit the fan, you need to stand up on your own 2 feet. That kind of way. It's never, if it'll ever happen, it's when. If you're in compliance and you've never had a challenge doing your job, something is sort of wrong. That you just rubber stamping and just signing off and just check the box. You've never had an issue. That's a concern.
Good morning, afternoon.
It's a Rev. So if you've never, like I said, never had a challenge, that's an issue. Yeah. So I can tell you, anyone in you who's being in the risk area know that every day it varies. Some days you go and it could be sort of smooth. You survive to 5 o'clock and you go home. And some days are rough. I'm talking hurricane season rough. And I don't know why. Why is it that the problems always happen like just 20 minutes before getting off time? Or right before you're ready to go home, you get a call and you look in and you see your boss number flashing like, man, I got 15 minutes. I shouldn't answer this, I'll be of issue. Let's have a meeting. 4:30. Let's have a meeting. Talk about what? What happened between 8:30 to 4 o'clock? Why you want a meeting now? We need to discuss how we can do this. We can't wait till tomorrow? That's the life of compliance. Because risk doesn't beat or doesn't schedule when it's going to happen. Risk just happen. Yeah? I'm sorry to have to bring that to you, but that's just the life of compliance. So, comprehensive compliance systems. Areas of discussion again. While I said that some of it may appear as an overlap, I could fast track through some of it, such as international standard. And you'll always hear this. You have to be in line with international best practice. You get ad nauseum, you get tired, oh Lord, I gotta hear about international. Because the standard changes daily. Laws change daily. Case in point, we're now entering into the digital age. Yeah? You're talking about cryptocurrency. Legislation is being drafted. It's out now for a public consultation on cryptocurrency. Ain't if it can happen. The government already decided it's going to happen. They already signed, well, I won't say secretly, but there's some agreements in place where Freeport is going to be the pilot hub for it. And remember, we don't make anything over here out of the noise. So right now they're trying to find ways to generate revenue. And cryptocurrency, blockchain technology is the way to go. Or a stepping stone in that direction. Yeah? Soon to be followed by medicinal marijuana.
Hello.
Mark my word. But don't quote me on that. So, as the risk specialist, you guys, the subject matter experts, you're going to have to be able to design compliance systems. Compliance system is just another way, fancy way of saying controls, pretty much. Yeah? In every environment, you would need to have established some types of controls. Yeah? In the absence of control, there will always be chaos.
Indeed.
Yeah? Could you imagine if you didn't have to stop at the red light? Or if we have this policy now in the Bahamas where it's okay to carry a concealed weapon, or you don't just get shotguns, you can now get handguns. This will be the wild. Huh?
What's wrong with that?
You don't just, no. Handguns isn't for everyone. That's a special permission you got to get from the Commissioner of Police for that. Everyone don't get handguns. Special persons get handguns.
We need to do like Switzerland, just to make everybody do national service where they do learn to shoot. So if you come in my home, you know it's a chance you'll be dead. Just call it a day.
That's still the case with me.
But you know, the interesting thing about having a gun, even as trained and skilled as you are, if someone get a drop on you, I don't care how well versed you are with a firearm, on any given day you could have a bad day.
I don't disagree, but it'll be nice for people to know when you're making that decision to come into my space, everybody's trained.
Called Stand Your Ground in Florida.
Okay, all right. I got a class full of killers. So, killer.
You know what Stand Your Ground means? You only playing with us, right?
Yeah, I've heard some stuff through the grapevine.
Okay.
So some areas of discussion. Again, we'll touch briefly again on the international standards. You've heard this so much, and because you heard it repeated so many times, when you have to do your little paper, which is 20% by the way, it should be easy. A cakewalk with those different standards. You need to be able to design a control system, which is really a compliance system, to mitigate the risk that your business is exposed to based on your risk assessment. And remember, the risk assessment is done either annually or biannually to see what level of risk your operation is exposed to. And based on that, you would need to adapt. Yeah? And some institutions, they still in the dark ages, they're 10 years behind with their systems. You have to move with the time. Cryptocurrency, for example, when legislation passed, you're going to have to do assessment. You know, how we going to have in place risk for this. So when we onboard these clients who are getting funds from cryptocurrency, the movement of funds by way of cryptocurrency, whatever, you would need to have risk in place, or controls rather, in place. Yeah? The board responsibilities, we're going to touch on that briefly again. These are the decision makers for the company, because everything starts at the top and trickle down to frontline staff, middle management, whatever. But everything starts at the board level. Yeah? Any thought, supposedly any bright idea, we give them credit for that. Yeah? Because why? They sign off. Yeah? Just like my boss. Sometimes I have a good idea and I say, oh, this is a good one. And I would make a proposal and I send it to her and she said, let me look at it. And the only thing different she did is she put her name to the bottom and she said, I think this is a better proposal. What do you think? And I said, well, it looks like the same thing, you know. And the only thing different is your name to the bottom. She said, yeah, I like it like this. What you think? And I said, okay, I guess. Hey. She said, don't worry, I remember you at the end of the year. I said, okay, boss, I mean, that was my idea, but it happens. And I'm sure you've seen it happen too. You have some good ideas and they would only change maybe 2 sentences, put their name on it and say, well, you know, this is what my thinking is. It is what it is. Your legal obligation as relates to these systems, because you have to ensure that it's in line with guidelines, best practices, and local legislation. The role of the MLRO again, briefly. Everyone in here knows the role of an MLRO by now, but just a quick refresher. And again, internal policies and procedures. I think I have a case study in there. If not, I could always make up one. Again, international standard. Everything starts and stops with the FATF. That's the International Standard Bearer for AML, ATF. Sometimes they call it CTF. AML, ATF and CTF, basically the same thing. Terrorist financing. So everything starts with them, such as all countries, and not just 1 or 2. All countries. This is the demand of the more industrialized countries, saying that everyone needs to identify the risk that the country is exposed to, and by extension the various businesses, financial institutions in the country is exposed to. You need to do an assessment, like I would say how you do that annual assessment on your business, and undertake money laundering and terrorist financing risk action to mitigate. So that's straightforward. You need to identify the risk. Before you could take on, before a doctor would give you medicine, they need to figure out what the problem is. Yeah? They need to identify, hey, what's up, Bishop? So they would need to identify, do an assessment, you know, based on the, I guess, symptoms and whatever, and then give you remediation, i.e. medicine, therapy, or whatever. Yeah? Straightforward? Yeah. Ensuring that the risks are mitigated effectively, basically. We did touch on the risk-based approach because no two clients are the same. And the direction central bank is going internationally also is that you do a risk-based approach. Pretty much you're assessing that client, you're building a profile, what type of controls would I apply to this particular client. And we always use this reference, the guy who sells water at Mall and Marathon. I pick it on that one. But I'm just saying, because he's just selling a little bottled water and what they call it, iron nuts, but I like there, you're gonna risk assess him different compared to a former member of parliament who's just arrested, who walked into the institution with a briefcase of money. The risk-based approach being applied, it was different. Yeah? So if you ever to write a paper and they say compare one or two, use that the fruit vendor or the bottled water salesman there and compare it with the apparel. Yeah? So the risk-based approach varies. And risk-based approach would include the following areas. This is not an exhaustive list. Risk identification and assessment, we did that. Customers' products, service, delivery channels, and geographical location. So you'll need to identify first and foremost what type of customer are we talking about. I had a customer, well, it's interesting, we get some of the weirdest people, I don't know. So this person, the RM called me and said, yeah, we got a client here. He is into, how do we call it? Mature photography? And I was like, no, he said that. I'm like, so I'm just, I'm trying to figure out, I'm just sitting there, I say, look at this foolishness. You know when you can see a train wreck going to happen, right? And he's going to bring X amount of money, and then I said, look at this foolishness, eh? Look at this on a Tuesday. I trying to get through the day. Yeah, he's involved in mature photography and all that stuff. I said, okay. And it's on an international level, I said, let me guess, it's in the print media too, right? Oh, yes, it is. I said, you don't see that screaming pornography? No, it's mature. I said, you.
That's your ML or officer?
No, it's a relationship.
So your company has a policy against taking clients who do pornography?
Pornography?
Even if it's adopted?
No, it's reputational risk. From that standpoint, we're not interested in that. No, we're not interested in that. Sorry?
Is pornography illegal? Like,
it's not illegal, but we're not we're not interested.
Personal choice, kind of.
Yeah, we're not interested in that.
Child pornography.
Let me give you another one.
So no one in Amsterdam is opening an account.
Open it, if we know him, we will find a nice way to give you them 30-day exit letter. We're not interested. Even with the gaming house operators, and I hope I'm actually no one feet. I mean, if you play the numbers and you're involved in it or you're employed by it, bless you a lot. But our position is that we don't onboard the gaming house operators.
But you'll onboard
The
the
employees.
employees.
The employees, yes, because the rationale
The
being
money is coming from a different.
from a regulated environment. But back in the day, it was underground. It wasn't legal. So we were like, from a reputational standpoint, we're not interested. And there were allegations that monies from gaming houses was commingled with some criminal activity too. And it was underground. And there's no way of, hey, how you? And because it was underground, that was an issue. And not because legislatively they were given a blank slate, saying, okay, it's all forgiven now, they're now legal. We not, you still have pass. And our correspondent bank, they have an issue with online gaming. So are you going to jeopardize your correspondent relationship for a gaming house? You know how hard it is to get a correspondent relationship? We ain't trying to lose that for Island Luck. And I ain't got nothing against them, but we're not interested. We'll take the clients and their staff money, provided they, open your eye, yeah, people accept them because they're part now of a regulated environment. But prior to that, no. And we're not interested in the principles of the company either. We're not interested either. Or onboarding the actual entity. Employees, yes. We ain't on that right.
I think most commercial banks on the same level.
Canadian banks, yeah, we singing from the same hymn sheet. Because remember, in the Bahamas, you only regulated really primarily by central bank. We got to deal with OSFI in Canada because they come and they test us too. Because our parent is up Canada, they come and they test us. Yeah, and they say, oh, hold on now, what's with all these online gaming? What's this on your books?
Yeah.
And then we got to start answering questions like, who signed off on this? That's an issue. RBC, Scotia. First grouping, we're singing from the same hymn sheet. But now with the Bank of Bahamas, they'll take anyone from here from Bank of Bahamas. I mean, I don't want to say nothing bad, but I love Bank of the Bahamas, but I can leave that right there. But no, they don't come to us. We would tell them no. We don't have an issue with them deposits.
Does CB take them? Does anybody know what the CB?
We know.
CB doesn't take them?
Take when?
The principals or the?
You take the no. We sing from the hymns. I attend a lot of the CBA Client Bank Association meetings, and I sit down on the table and I say, who ain't it? Okay, all right, I know with y'all out. We ain't talking to y'all, but we know that on this side of the room. We said no, we're not interested.
I'm surprised CB.
Well,
No, but it's not illegitimate.
It isn't, but as we say, it's a reputational risk. That
Yeah, they have to pass.
Yeah, but CB doesn't have a parent company in another jurisdiction that they have to. So for me, it's less of a reputational risk when you don't have a parent company that you have to. So for me, it's like they're stepping out of a market that they could. Yeah.
you trying to
You
save
are-
the world?
it's
Okay. Yeah, we don't want them. We'll run them quick.
Yeah, what's your reputational risk?
And your risk tolerance. But we said, it may not be something that will send you to jail, but then we don't want to be known as the bank of choice for persons who may have had ill repute, something like that. Like the one I used with Kevin Major. And I used that one when she came into the branch. She don't walk, she levitated into the bank. And she floated in, and they were like, because she was, remember now, she never did jail time. She was never convicted because her husband, he ended in the plea. He did a plea. She didn't do federal jail time. She wasn't convicted. He cut a deal. He said, look here, I'll take the blame, protecting her. So that's why she could still wear white. But at the same time, she was still designated by the U.S. government as a drug kingpin. The fact that we don't want that person on our books. Because you imagine everyone, everyone in the classroom sitting down in class, but you got one student in the back who got horns growing to their head. That's the devil child. We don't want that person here. Yeah? So we didn't really want her in. And because who's to say that she may not have a relapse and go back into that life? And money is start to flow from some. Look at the wife. They said he got saved, her husband. And then 3 o'clock one morning, police pull him over and he got all kind of money on it. Yeah, I mean, I ain't saying you can't have 300 grand in your car at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Along with some marijuana. I mean, dude, that was your history. Your past come back to haunt you. And that's why we closed the gate. We're not interested. Yeah? And risk management and mitigation. Risk monitoring. We have to be able to monitor. Any financial institution, you need to know who you're onboarding, what's passing through your account, in and out. Because you cannot. There's a video, I think I gotta get that video to show you, boy. It's a really nice video. Before the end, I probably will, not today. If I can get that, I'll show you where the MLR was being interrogated by the federal agents. And she said, well, I didn't know what was going through the car. And they would just forward them around, and you need to know, it's your job to know. And then she was like,
Break her right down.
Oh, they break, what? You getting ganged 4 times? And they did, she did, I didn't know. And I said, yeah, that's how you do it.
So what happened? Did she get locked up? She got charged?
Well, she had to go before the grand jury, and they were interrogating her. And as the MLR, they say, listen, yeah, it's your job to know. You can't say, well, I didn't know. You can't use ignorance as an excuse.
scapegoat,
They say,
right.
well, I didn't know. I needed to know what was coming into the account, what was going out, and who the counterparties of the transactions are. Really? When things go down, the liaison with the financial institution is the MLRO. You know why? They ain't worried about the people in the processing center, There's a person who signed off on it, who said, I'm comfortable with this transaction. Your signature is why you're being paid, When you onboard a client, and this is traditional also for your offshore, you always got that compliance officer signature, It ain't because you just want to add another signature on the paper. It's because that's your risk specialist. And if they're comfortable, we're comfortable. So if something go down, be fire and bury. Yeah? So if something come back and they're like, oh, shoot. You think they can say, well, we missed this? Who's the third man on that whose side? Barry side, right? What's your position again? MLRO? Yeah. Yeah, we can always replace you with Delarice or Tiro or Ginger. We don't care about you. They'll fire you in a heartbeat. And don't think they're going to miss you, because HR's got a list of people. They're threatening you with that all the time. So risk monitoring, you have to know what's coming into the account and what's leaving the account. And most importantly, with your risk-based approach, you have to document. We've seen a lot of people get written up for that. When you cannot demonstrate, it's one thing to say you follow procedures, you did everything. But if you cannot show an auditor, a regulator, compliance with what you did, it was never done. Make sense? Case in point. And I always use this at my institution. Boy, we got one or two, we got growing pains. We had this particular relationship manager. How many clients do you think this person had? Make a wild guess.
Okay.
No. Go on, Rev. You was going to say something? No?
I said one again.
No. No. Ginger, go ahead. You was going to say something?
No, I don't know.
No? All right. Stephanie? I want you to give me a number. No. This individual had one client. That's a sweet gig.
It depends on the size of the relationship.
It was the biggest client we have.
That's why.
He only had one client.
Yeah, that's why. That makes sense.
You know what was the downfall? He retired. And this brother didn't document nothing. So all that information walked. Oh, no. So you know what they did? Ain't me. That's their company. You know what they did?
Hire him back on contract.
Hired him back on contract. You think he turned that down?
No, I didn't turn it down. That's why I get that.
They brought him back on contract. I mean, it's like, wow, but dude, you on retirement and then give you this big package and they brought you back because he had all that information. All the contacts and everything that wasn't being documented.
And on contract, he's even less inclined to do anything because
Oh, for Pete's
he's
sake.
not employed by the company.
All he did is go to lunch with them, hang out, play golf, and then he's like, that's it? And he was like, that's a sweet job, eh? And he's getting paid. His contract was more than what all else was making. Yeah, some good perks. And that's a risk too, by the way. And that's because if he died with all that information, so as soon as he got back, they quickly got an understudy and then quick and said, hey, you pass all that information on to this person. Yeah? Because we were treading water for so long without all that information gaps. That was a danger. So you imagine if our
There
start.
was never a review or anything of that area.
Yes,
now?
there was.
And so,
We did a lot of dancing and ducking and dodging for when Central Bank came in. We did some dancing routine, dancing with the stars. We did a lot of stuff. When they came in, we was like, oh yeah, we got some people at the head office to sign off on some stuff, to do some stuff and say yes, we're comfortable with it. We didn't have it because the file was our biggest client. She really been about this big. That thing was like a vanilla wafer, small little thing. And we was like, what the hell? But whenever we needed something for regulatory issues or board level or anything related to that file, we would get the contract worker. So you think he complaining? Trust me, he was paid well. This is second retirement now. I think we got enough information on him now. We said, yeah, that contract up now. A nice try, so we sent him off again. So that was a gap. So please ensure that everything's documented. Don't let the arms hold you hostage. A risk-based approach, again, continuing in determining whether the customer requires simplified due diligence or enhanced due diligence is necessary for the company. Now, when we say simplified, you may not have to go the whole 9 yards because the person or the entity may barely be regulated. You know, it's like almost double whammy. If you are regulated by, let's just say, central bank, of course, you would have to satisfy them. They're the regulator. They're pretty much on the same level as you because you're a licensee or a central bank. So why do you have to go through all that same stuff? What central bank put the person through? You don't have to. That's why you can employ simplified due diligence.
A bank did that.
Sorry?
A bank did that. For my entity, which is licensed by the central bank, they
Mhm.
wanted us to complete an AML
Question? Yeah?
question questionnaire, I told him that's okay, because the fact that you send that to me, and I'm a Bahamian entity with no parent company in another jurisdiction, I have my license from the central bank, for me, that means your compliance doesn't understand what they're doing, and I said, that's okay, we can go with another bank.
Okay, there you go. Let's put them in their place.
Yeah, why are you gonna ask me what are our standards? You and I are both regulated by the same entity. Your standard is my standard.
However, you have some institutions whose standard is a little higher than the industry. The minimum standard.
They don't have no parent company in place.
Well,
so
yeah.
that narrows it down.
Yeah.
So no, you don't.
Well, you're about hard. I like to see you when you got to deal with central bank. Oh, you're about hard. Okay, all right. I guess, don't call a friend because you might be on your own. So the simplified version as opposed to the enhanced. Enhanced means you have to do the full KYC. You'd have to dig deeper. It's not just a superficial KYC. You need to get additional information. Yeah? As opposed, like we said with the water salesman and the PEP. With a PEP, you would do enhanced. With the water salesman is simplified. Basic KYC. Yeah? Because of the level of risk each present. So you need to carry a formal AML risk assessment. You have to do these assessments. Pretty much you're sizing up the client or entity. Ensure that internal procedures, systems, and controls, inclusive staff awareness adequately reflect the risk assessment. Ensure customer identification and acceptance procedures reflect the risk characteristics of the customer. So if the person, the characteristics are so strong, maybe they're dealing with multiple jurisdictions, they're possibly susceptible to corruption. Based on their characteristics, you have to ensure that the onboarding procedures reflect this, the mitigation. Ensure that monitoring systems and controls are robust. Does your institution has a, Delores, your institution, does it have a monitoring tool? Delores, she wouldn't even look up. Your institution, no, Delores, I'm talking to you. You.
My name is not Delores.
You know, I calling you Delores all for the last 2 weeks and you ain't.
You haven't been calling who's Delores.
You, that's why I've been calling you.
Does anybody name it?
That's Ginger. Everyone knows Ginger. Everyone knows Ginger.
That is
Oh.
Delores. She's close, so I wasn't.
Okay, well.
Delores, does your institution.
Okay, all right then. All right, well, she should say something from last week. All right, Delores, does your institution have a monitoring tool?
A monitoring tool, yes.
Okay. Does everyone's institution have a monitoring tool? So I can leave Delores alone. Everyone? I know Ginger, you have it. And I know for sure you have it. And Delores got it. Tira, I know you guys have it.
Say Delores.
So,
That's so far from it.
what? Anyhow, let's say it again. Yeah. So the monitoring tool is good because you can't leave everything to just manual processes because things do fall through the gap. Yeah. But the automated tool, it doesn't recognize names or poisons. It just have criteria built in there. Yeah. And with humans, it's subjective. You know, like, I know that poison. You know, the tool don't discriminate. Just based on the triggers and the criteria. At my institution, we have more than 100 triggers inside our tool. And based on that, bing, Delores, the deposit you're making, like a bing. Why? What happened here? She want to get a draft to send to, attempt to send to Cuba or North Korea. Bing, something light up. So stop this transaction. Yeah? Some basics real quick. I think we touched on this last time, but I'll go through it real quick. When you're doing your risk assessment of your client, whether it's an individual or business entity, you need to assess the country risk. Where's the company being incorporated? Where's the person doing business from? If it's a low risk country like the Bahamas, the United States, the level of risk is lower as opposed to Venezuela, Panama, possibly Argentina, something like that. Yeah. Assessing the client's risk. Hey, what's up? The legal structure involved. It could be an international business company, sole trader or corporation. Assessing the client's business. What's the nature of their business? What do they do? For example, gaming house operators. We don't touch them. That's a risk plus. Reputation or otherwise. The pornography, yeah, I can say that. Pornography arena, we don't touch those. Right now, cryptocurrency, we're not into that. Person may be a trader in cryptocurrency. We don't do that. Of course, that's going to change soon. Because, you know, in 2020, first quarter, when the behemoth digital coins rolled out, we're going to jump on that bandwagon because it's business. Ain't no fool now. Just like with the number houses, gaming house operators, we say, no, we ain't gonna touch that. We ain't gonna touch that. You go after the employees. Cryptocurrency, we ain't gonna touch that. But as soon as that start rolling out now, we say, hold on now. There are a lot of family islands out there now who don't have banking. I mean, we gotta start thinking now, okay, how do we capture this market? Because I can guarantee you, Bank of the Bahamas is gonna be the first. Because it's a behemoth bank. Commonwealth Bank is going to follow suit. Every month, Terry, you know this, I didn't know, and I wasn't even aware of this, we have to send $40 million to our parent company. They're getting their cut. So they're going to say, okay, how are we going to get our cut now? The market isn't growing any bigger. You only got, 350,000 people? It's only so much slice in the pie you can get. So we're trying to get capture another segment now, this cryptocurrency. What can we do now to capture the biggest share of that market? Yeah? So they can say, okay, we'll put processes and whatever in place, products and services. Let's see how we can leverage. Because everyone is going to go after it soon. Yeah? And I'm going to talk about medicine and marijuana. Because everyone will be selling brownies soon. And you know once they say, okay, we have the green light on that, you know, companies can start popping up. Yeah? You think Basics wasn't making no money now. You know they won't be trading now. Anyone interested in Delarice's high brownies or something like that? So, you know, I probably will invest in that. You want to buy stock in that? Yeah. Hey, Delarice, when you have your Delarice, she even ain't looking up though. That's the thing. That's why we didn't know who Delarice was. You even ain't looking up.
Yeah, because you didn't know. You look at all of them, they call my name. You know, I mean, someone call my name, they look at me. I don't like to be associated with that.
Okay, all right, Delarice, all right, no problem. All right, yes, here. I forget all this. Okay, so assessment has to be done on the products and service risk. What products are the customer applying for? The delivery channel. How was the customer onboarded? Was it face-to-face as opposed to by way of an intermediary? Yeah, you know, those go between, sometimes a lawyer, accountant, you know. All of your clients are not face-to-face. Yeah? And the delivery channel for servicing. How will the products and services be delivered to the client? So all of that will be built into your risk assessment. And of course, it's not an exhaustive list. It's just basics. Yeah? Depending on the nature of your company. Oh, I thought it was a question. Your risk assessment is continuing. Continuous event. Why? Because it's not static. Because risk change from day to day. Yeah? If you look at your operation 5 years in the future, you can't use the same risk assessment or same policy. Because what would it change by then? You'll have the medicinal marijuana, you may have some changes in the gaming house operators, definitely cryptocurrency, you have to move with the time. Yeah? And of course, the FATF may come up with some new standard again. And you would have to be, it's work in progress, it's dynamic. Yeah? The good thing about that is that you'll always work. You'll always be gainfully employed. Yeah? Because it's the function of the risk manager. The company should monitor the environment in which they operate. And again, the environment is going to change. With cryptocurrency, how will that change for us as bankers and financial institution operators? Because I mean, when we're trying to move away from all this paper to digital, everything is just a swipe of a card. What challenge would that present for us? Do you think fraud was going to spike? There's going to be any change with fraud, perhaps? Identity theft, perhaps? I don't know. You about to say something here? No? Bishop? No? All right.
I also think it's going to be a big learning curve for a lot of the...
Yes.
Because I worked with an institution that
Yes.
has onboarded and is managing digital.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge learning curve.
It's a learning
Keeping
curve.
digital wallets and keeping people keys
Yes.
and who have access to
Yes.
keys. If the person died, who the keys go to the access.
I got the keys.
There's
Yes,
keys.
yes.
I think one guy
That's like a
actually
rap
died.
song.
He was the owner
Mhm,
and like
mhm.
almost $15 million. His wife don't know where the digital keys is. He had the coins.
Yes.
So these people trying to figure out it's a lot of work.
And the question we always pose, how big is cyberspace?
Very big.
Because when the relationship manager, I ain't no techie. And I like to pretend when I'm ready now, but she said, Mr. Taylor, I'll never forget this. She said, Mr. Taylor, let me run something by you. The person he wants to convert fintech to Bitcoin, move the monies from his virtual wallet and convert it to fiat. You get what I'm saying? And I said, girl, I hear what you're saying. And Lord knows I hear what you're saying. But to put that in English, no.
It's a totally
How do you convert it from the digital to the fiat? Fiat is actual money.
Yeah.
So how do you convert it? And what's the principle moving from one type, like a fintech, to Bitcoin?
a Bitcoin.
So fiat is what?
Fiat is actual cash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's another
Paper.
term for actual cash. Fiat,
Paper money.
paper money.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge for me. How do you do that? And then with the blockchain, and they say it's so foolproof. How do you? It's a continuous series, and then persons in a little room trying to break the code and all that stuff. And when you break the code, you get points, and it's
Mining.
you mining
all
it,
these
and then
new
you
terms.
get money for that. And I'm like, okay, because I saw a setup with a guy. He had like 1,000 computers, and he was sitting down there trying to break the code. That's his job. You wake up all day and you're just sitting there looking at the screen. And I'm like, that's how you make a living? I mean, more power to him, but I don't know how that works. So, and how do you get KYC on some of this stuff?
Well, that's the whole thing. It was designed to avoid, because that's how that was birthed. Because millennials didn't want to use the traditional banking system.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is
Mhm.
the transaction is forever standing, so you can always go back and trace it. But
Mm-hmm.
KYC ain't really a part of digital currency right now, and that's going to be the biggest problem.
Yes, anonymity. Because anyone could be behind a keyboard and okay, how do you know who this person is? Because you could actually go into a Walmart or one of the big stores and you could use digital payment.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out, how does Walmart redeem their monies from this digital payment? How does that work? I still ain't sure.
How they convert it back to fiat.
Yeah, so that's the challenge. So some smart person, Bishop, when you get a chance, this week you can look it up. Come back and you get 5 points for that. Periodic assessment.
5%. 5 points.
Models. So with the assessments that you have to do, they have to be periodic. You can't just say, I'll do a risk assessment 10 years ago and think that's going to stand. No, because the environment changes. You need to periodically do. Realistically, it should be at least every year or every 2 years. Yeah? Yeah? Well, you know what's saying? Yeah, Rock? Yeah?
Annual.
Sorry?
Annual. At least annual. 6 to 12 months.
Well, based on policy and regulations. Yeah. And then, of course, you have some reviews that can be done even quarterly, based on the high level of the client represent. We've had some of those. We had one with the money transmission business. That's prohibited by my institution. But we do have a few on our books. But because we have them on the books, we put in place a policy that, hey, they have to go quarterly, be reviewed quarterly. Yeah? It is what it is. Central Bank of Bahamas Guidelines, Section 25, and I've been giving you the page. Page 16 states, SFIs, financial institutions, must assess the risk of money laundering and terrorist financing and other identified risks they may face in the course of conducting their business. So it ain't if, woulda, coulda, shoulda. As again, anytime you see something in law says must, that means there are penalties attached. Yeah? So, some people, if you see may in law, may, or, use discretion, what that means is up to you. But when it's bold, underlined, must mean, yeah, you gotta do it. It's not an option. Yeah? This self-assessment must be conducted and documented to follow financial institutions to determine the overall level of vulnerability and identify risk, basically. So you have to do it. And most important, it has to be documented. Why? Because you're going to be audited. And you have to be able to evidence it to your regulator. Right here? There you go. a financial institution may choose the method of risk assessment that best suits its business. So basically, central bank will say, well, we're not going to tell you hard and fast how to do your risk assessment. We just want to know it's done and it's in line with best practices. So however you want to style it up, you want to use double space, justified, or however, just do it. Yeah? Okay, so designing a compliance system. So you got to start from ground zero if you're new to it. The luxury for persons who have a parent company is that you can leverage of what they already have in place. That's a good thing about, especially the Canadian banks. They have a policy for every single thing. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. The challenge for us at my institution is that we have 17 jurisdictions. And the CIB, I want to say the company. But anyhow, the parent company, they would send down a directive saying this is the policy to adopt. And sometimes it's not one size fit all, because you're dealing with 17 territories, 17 different legislations and different stuff, because every territory is unique. So now how do you tweak that for 17 territories? And that's always a challenge for us. Yeah? As opposed to like a Commonwealth Bank or Bank of the Bahamas. Now once they put their policy down, they're answering to the people down the road here. That's it. Us, we got to be thinking about them 70 territories, OSFI, Canada, all that stuff we got to put in play before we could roll that out. Yeah? So be mindful of the primary objective of money laundering. That's your primary objective, money laundering, terrorist financing. There's some factors you have to consider. External factors outside of your organization. The regulatory regime. Central bank, they could come up with new guidelines, new best practices. The AML ATF systems and controls must be tailored specific to your jurisdiction. And remember, sorry, I almost called the company name again. I gotta stop, you're putting pressure on me. My parent company, right? They would send down this directive. We can get the directive, but of course we have to tweak it. Yeah? To mirror our local regulations. Yeah? And the same thing applies at RBC. And I know you're from RBC. And Scotia. Galleries, you're in Scotia, right? Okay. So, huh?
Spent 22 years.
At Scotia. Okay, well, you know how it is. And then, of course, there are internal factors such as the size of the company. It could be a small boutique or big company. Risk appetite. Please use these sexy words in your paper. I mean, I only say that these are the terms that most of the examiners like. When they hear stuff like risk appetite, they talk in my language. Risk-based approach. They like those kind of words, you know? They get your points. It says that you know what you're talking about, you know? In right context, that is. Yeah?
Don't just throw it in.
Yeah, don't just throw it in there. You might at the end, you might then write a whole paragraph and say risk-based approach, risk appetite, risk, and all them fancy words. What the hell? But Ginger just, Ginger knows some stuff, but it ain't like, it really on the context here. I know why she talking about all this stuff here. We talking about terrorism. So you have to be mindful of the nature of the operation. Let me see. I know that little word is I have a hard copy. Anyhow, geographical location. You've already had that before. I would have already the internal factors. So all of this should be included in your system. The board responsibility. Pick up the pace. Everything starts and stops with the board because they have to sign off on everything, inclusive of your AML policies, risk management, all those manuals and everything. It has to be tabled before the board. Why? You need to have someone accountable. Yeah? It's one thing for you as the subject matter expert to prepare all these documents. You're accountable to some degree, but the board has to ultimately say and sign off. Before that goes to, let's just say, central bank, they always ask, was it approved by the board, your board? You could prepare it as the risk manager, but it has to be signed off by the board. Yeah? You are the accountable parties, the board and the risk manager. So the board responsibilities, regulatory expectation is that senior management will be responsible and accountable for the management of the bank's compliance risk, and there will be full board participation. Yeah? The board is required to understand the obligations and potential penalties. Guess what, folks? Because they name board, don't assume they know everything. We do that sometimes. They sit, they making the decisions. They depend on you. They're not the ones in the front line, the persons who are actually putting this stuff together. You have to sell this to them. I think I told you all this the last time. I was on a job interview sometime in recent times. I ain't gonna say when. But one of the questions that was posed to me by the person who was interviewing me from this institution, they said that, are you prepared to play politics? I never had that question put to me before in an interview. I like, what you mean play politics? How persuasive are you? Can you persuade the board to do certain things? I like, okay, it's different. I mean, I know as a compliance or risk manager, you have to have some level of influence. I get that. But when she started talking about playing politics and, you know, she said some other stuff that really left a bad taste in my mouth. You have to be able to influence the board. You have to sell this risk or AML policy. Yeah? Because if you're not confident in the policy, you think the board is going to sign off on it? No. Yeah? They're not familiar with all of these new changes that's going on in the environment. As the point person, you will get all of this information, whether it's from your regulator or open sources. That's your job, to know what's happening in the industry, in the marketplace. To go back to the board and say, this is what's happening, this is how we remediate or we mitigate, and this is the plan. You don't ever go to the board just saying, oh, we have all this risk, oh, we have all of this. They say, okay, but what's your plan to address it? This is the amendment to the policy, this is the risk assessment, this is whatever. You would have to have that, armed with that information before you go to the board. Make sense, right? You don't run to your boss every minute. Boss, we got a problem. What's going on? The building is on fire. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Boss, what happened? Current just gone off. Okay, so what's your plan? Okay, well, we don't have a backup generator. It needs some fuel. I could run down the road and get some fuel. Well, go do it then. You can't just run to your boss with all the issues. You have to have a plan. As a risk manager, part of your job is, it starts with a P. Prevention. Prevention. That's another sexy word there. You can never avoid all risk, but you can reduce the possibility that it will take place. Prevention. Yeah? So, with respect to the AML ATF, the board's key obligations are to understand the various risks that the institution is susceptible to and how to mitigate and effectively remediate those. And of course, this information is coming from you, the expert. Don't just come with the issue, come with a solution. And someone was asking me a question just yesterday. It's from the ICA class. They was asking me about something to do with their paper and whatever. And I was looking at, I had a minute, only 1 minute to kill. And I was looking at the person's paper and I was like, okay, I see your recommendation where you have your short term, medium term, and long term. And they just had everything on, all the answers for just short term. But they didn't have any long term sustainability plan. They said, okay, we'll address the problem right now. But okay, yeah. But how do you correct it so it don't repeat itself again and again? She didn't have that in the paper, and she like, my paper finished, I can turn it in. I said, boy, turn it in. You could turn it in, but you get a big nest egg there because you ain't address the whole question. Yeah? And anytime you think about risk, you always think of not just the immediate right now, you always think long term. It's never good to just have a band-aid solution, but long term. Yeah? Say, for example, you tell your boss right now, Delreese, short-term plan is to hire 2 contractual workers for 6 months to eradicate a backlog we have. Backlog is dealt with. So, you don't think the backlog is going to happen again? When you didn't have these 2 resources? Now they're gone. The backlog start again. What is your long-term plan? What systems are you going to put in place to correct it or prevent it from happening again? See what I'm saying? And she didn't do that in her paper. At least she asked my thoughts on it. And I said, yeah, you better try to think about this again because you... And of course, you have a legal obligation. And in terms of your AML, as a compliance or risk resource, it's never woulda, coulda, shoulda. You have to report suspicious activity. We know that. If your role falls within the remit of compliance AML officer, you need to be compliant with the law. And all the law isn't just AML. Don't get confused, because people think, oh, compliance is just AML. Get that out of your head, quick, fast, and hurry. Compliance is more than just AML. Yeah? You have to be compliant with labor laws. Isn't that compliance? They have something called maritime compliance, and they I don't know if they'll ever get to do that here, but you need to be in compliance with maritime laws. You know, we have the number 7 biggest shipping registry in the world, the Bahamas.
It's number 7 now?
Yes, number
I thought it was
7.
bigger than that.
It was number 3.
Yeah, I thought it was
Seven.
closer.
Last time. So it's gone down.
I just was
now.
listening to the debate on it, and they were talking about it.
How much sources did you get this information from?
Because recently it was number 3.
I mean, okay, I'm just okay. Let me rephrase it. According to Peter Times West.
Okay.
Okay, good.
He let lost too, but that's fine.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying. I mean, kill the messenger.
Number 7, alright.
All right, kill me. So I just say, if you're number 7, you still need to be in line with.
You probably become number 7 when 27 then. Anyhow.
Oh, all right, Barry. So if you're just saying you're number 7, right? You still would have to be in line with all of the regulations and guidelines and because I mean to be number 7 in the world, that's a big feat. We only a dot on the globe, you know. I don't know if you ever looked at the globe. A little dot. To be number 7 in the world, that's a big feat. Now, in terms of the money, I know, because being number 7 in the world, and I know if the money really trickling like that. We falling away somewhere. But anyhow, so internal reporting procedure, you have a legal obligation to ensure that you do your risk, you do your assessment, you appoint your MLRO. We did have this discourse with Central Bank when we had what do they call it, in camera. You have an in camera with them too. Yeah.
At least once a year.
At least once a year, I have to do the in camera. They ask me, do you feel as if you're being adequately compensated? I'm like, this is a loaded question, and you are recording me, or this is a trick or something. I mean, this is between just between us. You know better than that, right? You know, people just talk. And I said, look at this foolishness. Right? They ain't get set parties on it. I said, yeah, I think they trying their best in light of, you got to choose your words carefully. Yeah, man, they're trying their best, and things could be better. We hope we, in prayers, and through God who strengthens us and all that stuff. You got to throw in little stuff like that. Yeah, you can't be no fool. Because one of the fellows who was in the room, I said, look at him, look at Brother Virgil from my church. You can go right back and say, But they do ask that because it's a risk. Because you are the risk manager for an institution. And my institution, everything starts and stops with me. They always reminding me, when you see the court orders, ain't no one else's name in the whole bank, just your name. And you look at that sometimes, you go, wow, I'm special. I was the only one going to jail. I was the only one who can get this time. And they always remind you, I don't know why they got to keep repeating it on every time they send this stuff. If you don't have this information, then someone's like, look at that foolishness, eh? And they always remind me. So on day 12, I stressed out, right? I got 14 days. You need to be compensated because you have a shelf life as an MLRO. Sad to say that, right? That's why they pay you supposedly a good salary. Because the lifespan for MLRO, and this is based on statistics, at least when I was in Baco, persons normally only stay 3 years at the institution.
What?
Because you'll have offers, and after you get, let's put it like this, your eyes start to open, and you see what's out there. After a while, 3 years, you're like, okay. You ever heard of something called the 7-year itch? After you've been doing something for 7 years, and you start getting like, okay, ready to move. I've been at my institution for going on 9 years now. I've been scratching, itching, digging, doing all kinds of stuff. I was like, boy, look here, something ain't right, doesn't mean. Hey, sure, this can't solve the problem, but I've time to, huh? Yeah, but you got to do your background too.
I agree.
And sometimes you got to get your little candle and fast and stuff, and some stuff get revealed to you. Yes, boy, some stuff get revealed to you. No, Scotia.
I'm not there anymore.
Okay, well I can talk with them. I went on an interview with Scotia, right? And we got narrowed down to the last 2 and when you're at RBC. So, and the ladies asked me some questions, and I said, yeah, and they were on the phone, and they were like, how do you deal with stress? I said, well, stress comes, stress goes. And they said, well, we got plenty stress going on here. We got exams coming, and we got this and that, and you're going to work on some weekends, and this and that, and she was like, all right. And I said, well, what about vacation time? And I was looking in my mind, I was thinking, like, comparing where I'm at now, and she's saying something, and I was like, why she talking, right? This is me where I'm at, and this is Scotia, and she's like, yeah, and I was like, yeah, and he just listened to her talk, and I said, okay, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, all right, all right. Ain't nothing against you, Delores, but no, boy. Y'all had some issues was going on up there at that time. I couldn't take that. Yeah, some serious issues there, boy. So, it has to be in the right environment, too. Yeah? I mean, unless you just want to learn. I can't take that on. The MLRO should be senior. It shouldn't be. We've seen, when I was at the FIU, Barry them probably here for some of these stuff. Back in the day, can I speak to the MLRO? I called the institution, hello, so-and-so bank. I said, yeah, okay, can I speak to the MLRO? Oh, you're speaking to them? Hold on. You're a receptionist? She says,
Right.
yes, I'm a receptionist / MLRO. I said, what the friggin' hell? I mean, gosh darn, yeah, you could be the receptionist and the MLRO. They just grab a body and say, hey, you want to be MLRO? Use the MLRO now, And you got 2 titles now, but 1 salary. Well, use the MLRO. The MLRO should be someone who's senior. If your institution is levels 1 through 10, that person should at least be a level 7 or 8. You can't be a buck private. Why? If you're a buck private, who's senior person, you can go up and say, you need to do that. I say, get from around. You're level 1, but park my car when you finish. No, you need to be able to, be senior. To demand respect. It's a respect thing. So you're an MLR at your institution, and you're at a low level, something ain't right. You have to come to the table with some level of seniority. Make sense? You should be able to make independent decisions. You can't just be a token. Okay, yes, boss, rubber stamp. Yeah, all right, yeah. Some institutions it does happen. They love those kind of people in some institution because like, okay, the lady did ask me down in the interview. She said, are you a team player? I said, yeah, man, I believe in team. She said, no, are you a team player? I mean, if we need to get that deal done, and I said, I am a team player if it's in line with regulation, guys. She said, no. Are you a team player? I answered before. I'm missing something. I said, oh, you mean a team player? I said, oh, no, I ain't getting locked up. No. She said, okay. Yeah, well, then they called me back and you weren't the candidate. I said, I can lose no sleep.
I was at an institution where CB came in and interviewed the MLRO, tell them they needed to move her. She was too soft.
Yeah.
So she wasn't strong enough for the position.
Yeah.
On
They
paper,
move
she
her?
was good. Pardon me?
Did they move her?
Yeah, she had a baby and then she left and left.
Yeah. 'Cause
So
it's-
they forced her to resign or something?
They didn't force her to resign, but I think she knew.
She caught on.
Because,
you
want
gotta
to exit,
you gotta be
so-
firm. You
Yeah,
can't
no,
be
she
a
was too
pushover
soft.
and you're signing everything that comes in the front. Hey, you just need to sign. Oh, no problem. Sign this right. You're looking at it. Yeah, sign right. Yeah.
She knew what they had said.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much.
Man, she ain't got no package, no severance package, nothing. She just leave? That's what I want to know.
Now, mind you, they do in some instances they do make some offers now to encourage you to move along. They'll say, hey,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
we're gonna give you something. Be going in a different. I had a friend of mine. He would remain nameless. He called me one day. I think I told you this in the last session, not the last session, but the introductory. He called me. It was a Friday. He said, "Boy, Taylor, guess what?" I said, "What happened, man? Something bad?" Well, they tell me the company's going in a different direction. I said, "Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, man." He said, "Yeah, they told me on Wednesday today would be my last day." I said, "What?" I was so mad. I said, "No, wait, look here, they joking, but I said, I with you, boy, ready to ride or die. Wait, what they what? They what? They do what to you? You know, man, I don't, cause this fellow was almost like a mentor to me, and he knew his stuff, and he said, yeah, cause, I'm 62 now, and I gotta move on, and they told me they're going in a different direction. I was so depressed. I said, man, I'm depressed for you, man. Cause my sport, I go by Arawaki, we could get like somebody you can just sit down and talk, But he's like, and I, you know what? Why I didn't feel bad? Then he said, and they didn't give me this little dumb check. $175,000.
By goodbye, I gotta buy a fishing boat.
You give me 175.
At 60?
I'll cry for 2
It's time
seconds.
to go fishing.
Hey, what's up?
It depends on what you have going on at 69, no man.
No,
I
but
can't fishing. At 60, your mortgage should be paid. Your chain university should be paid. What? Oh my God.
We think that's a lot of money.
Kids just starting university.
Yeah.
Well, he was too late.
At that stage, you know, you're old. I mean, you know, what you do?
He could be trying to 72.
Well, he shouldn't be making churn at all.
Well, I mean,
It's time to go fishing.
things could miss a Harlem.
It's time to go for a little ride to Andres every other weekend. And Zumba, swim with the pigs.
175, it depends on your position.
But it depends where you're at in life.
What?
Exactly, because if you still have children in university and schooling.
Exactly.
No, when you're 50, they supposed to be
Exactly.
finished.
But no, not in
Man,
in
if
real
you
life,
turn
it don't.
72,
No, it
I
don't happen
get
like
two
that.
and that's it. Oh, like bits.
So the average person right now, your boss tell you, we moving away from you, but we'll give you a check for 175. See, look at someone say they leave right now, but you still gotta live the rest of your life though.
No, she's saying not right.
Not right now. What 175 could do for you? 175,000 in cash.
Get another job. Be a consultant to the consultant. You know how this do it.
But I mean, bear in mind, at his point, he was 62.
60.
Still had a mortgage. I think he had one child that was still in college. So 175 ain't go far.
No, that ain't going.
That ain't going far. That sounds like a lot of money, and then, you know, your lifestyle can change.
My son would be 34 at that age. If I'm 62, he should be 34. Come on, man. Time to go fishing. I mean, that's just my thing.
I mean,
Ain't nothing else to do.
depending on your lifestyle too, where you're at.
man.
'Cause you give me 175, I can make that work for a while. But for a
How
while, but
old
no,
my
but I
dog
mean,
be?
you still
My
have to
daughter
live.
would be-
I mean, I still have to work. That ain't where I want to be yet. Don't try that.
Shut. My daughter would be almost 40. What they-
You saying
Hey,
that
look at
now
my
until
grandchildren.
that go by to 15%, or you got some other thing going on, and guess what? You could have 175, and you could have one major ailment,
And that's it.
and then wipe that right out.
Because especially if you don't have private.
Man, and he getting pension at that age? He should be getting pension for NIB, from the places
That
working.
$200.
Pension don't
So
count.
you talking about that $200 you get from NIB?
Can't even-
A pension
You
for
can do
the
that.
money, that's for gas
That's
money
what
for
you
the
pay for
boat.
your
Well, that's
cable?
gas money for the
I
boat.
carry your face on the book.
So $200 from NIB ain't at the dog.
That's gas money, dog.
You asked to go where you ain't got a job. Where you going?
Getting fishing. You know what I mean? You going
That's not to
fishing?
be a full time.
Huh?
A full time. I don't think that's
Like a smaller boat, man. Come on, man. You gotta make that 175 work.
That's if you was contributing all like that.
So also
another
to
thing.
contribute with your controls, your MLRO shouldn't be just the MLRO in name. You should know the products and services that your company offer. Yeah. And you should be well versed in international standards. You can't just be the MLRO and they ask you, what's the standard on this, or why are you doing
Right.
this? It's nothing worse than an MLRO who's training the staff and they say, oh, why are we doing this? Because the manuals say you gotta do this, but why? Because it's right here in the manual. International standards, guidelines, best practice. You got to be able to speak to that. You can't just say, well, the manual say. Yeah. To identify the possible risks to the organization as MLRO, you need to know that. To reduce the likelihood that it will come to fruition. Remember, we talk about prevention. And to minimize the impact. Basically, have your controls in place. We did touch on this last time, so I can go through this real quick. Internal policies and procedures, we know that stuff. KYC, you have to know your customers. You're not being nosy, it's the law, it's a requirement. Source of funds and identification requirements. You need to know where the funds are coming from, and not that scenario we gave earlier with the person, oh, the money coming from Scotia or RBC. Yeah, all right, you got the money over there. Well, bless you. But what did you do to get that money? What did you do to generate this income? Yeah? Don't just bring me a withdrawal receipt. All that's saying is that you withdrew some money that you have at another institution. How did you generate that money? That's your source of funds. The appointment of an MLRO, of course, you gotta go to bury those with your resume and all the supporting documentation. They have to vet you and register you. The same thing applies with Central Bank. They have to sign off on it. And Securities Commission. Due diligence. Use of the online search engines. Risk assessments, we spoke about those. Account monitoring, we spoke about that. Internal controls. The reporting procedures. And last but not least, education and training. You need to have a budget for that. Do you have a budget at your institution for training? Or are you aware of a training budget? Yeah? I remember at my institution, when I first went there, they'll tell you anything in the interview. Oh, we'll send you around the world and we'll do all that. I say, what? Why you see the world? Why my company don't play? 6 months in, I said, okay, been here 6 months now. I've only been Paradise Island and Abaco. So what's going on? They're like, yeah, but you all told me at the interview, I'll see the world. I said, yeah, you have internet? Log on and you'll see the world. I said, you all tricked me good, eh? One thing I can say about working with Barry, those at the FIU, you get to see the world. The only place I haven't seen was Antarctica. And I'm like, what? Some days my boss would say, boy, I hate to tell you this, but I need you to go away for 2 weeks. I said, man, I ain't trying to go. I need you to go to Thailand. I'm like, okay then, don't try this again. 'Cause I don't want you to be dropping stuff like this on me. I ain't on that run. The next time he tell me, boy, I can't make this seminar. I need you to dash down to Colombia. I say, man, I'm tired of this foolishness, man. You all get the ticket yet?
And the per diem.
And the per diem? He said, yeah, it's on your
Very
account. I
important.
said, okay then. He said, well, man, I need you. I hope it ain't a problem when you come from Colombia. Just stop in Jamaica just for a week. I can do this for you. Only because it's you, you know. I don't want you all in Yoga just be give me no diplomatic passport, sending me this place and that because I ain't signing up for this. It's no problem. Oh, I'm gonna need you to go Czech Republic. I was like, money. Anyhow, boy, you should see me in the airport. The Czech Republic, places you can't even spell. But it is what it is. But I can say that I actually saw the world of the Bahamian government. So if I never travel again, sorry.
She said the Bahamian people. You didn't hear her?
Okay, yeah, well, you're right. Case study here. Back in 2012, HSBC forfeited 1.2 billion. It ain't sound like a lot of money. Can your institution afford to pay in fines? 1.2. Why? Why did they pay the fine? And we just finished talking about that. You had a case study? That's an excellent one. Even though it's a little dated, but 2012. How could one of the top 10 biggest banks in the world not have adequate controls? You would think that little us, what they call the Bush banks, we always saying, oh, HSBC, oh, the big boys, they have their stuff together. That's not true. 1.2 billion, but of course they could write a check. That's a drop in the bucket for us. Tia, how much people get sent home at our institution if we have to pay a fine of 1.2 billion? That's the whole territory going on. Everyone going home. Pay a fine like that. That's a lot of money. Amongst the stuff that happened at HSBC, they supplied banking services in American dollars to some banks in Saudi Arabia. And you know Saudi is a hotbed for terrorist activity, in spite of the connections to terrorist groups. You know, when we keep talking about those sanction screenings and watching, because it was so profitable, you know, sometimes you strip information or you turn a blind eye because it's profitable. They dodged restrictions created to prevent transactions involving Iran, North Korea. When you see these requests to move monies or potentially move monies to these high-risk jurisdictions like your North Korea, Pakistan, any red flag should go off as a risk professional. Hell yeah. You better pull up your sanction list or your UN watch list. HSBC US didn't treat its Mexican counterpart as high risk, even though they had problems with the drug trafficking. They saw monies coming in potentially from the cartels. The fact that you suspect that it's coming from, if you have a transaction coming from the Ariano Felix brothers, anyone ever heard about those guys before? The biggest drug dealers in Mexico. You don't know your drug dealers? Deliaries, you don't know that?
No. Not like you're very familiar.
No, you heard of El Chapo.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, El Chapo got to start working for them.
Really?
Yeah, so that's how big they is. So what I'm telling you,
They still around?
no. One got killed, he got a headshot, the next one, I think he's doing jail time. The Felix brothers
No
dead.
children?
mean, the kids, yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't want to take on their name. I mean, I'm sure they changed their names because Pablo Escobar Jr., he doesn't go by that name anymore. Because of the negative. You know, as a travel with that name, even though he was never convicted, and you know, the minute he traveled, you know, as soon as you hit the airport, they're like, "What's your name?" Pablo Escobar Jr. Come into the room over here, in that same room where they had me in. Oh, come right over here.
That's your check. That's your paycheck, buddy.
No, this something from cost. Paycheck, it's all good. But no, having a name like that could be an issue. Dwight Major Jr. Unfortunately, even this person has a name, a local right now, by the name of Samuel Knowles. And because he's a client of ours. But then someone says, bing! We have a automated tool. And it would light up, bing! Like, and then because I'm familiar with who the person is, it ain't, because we already got photo and all that stuff. And they go, hey Samuel, I said, oh, relax. The real Samuel Knowles in the federal prison right now, dying of sugar, hypertension, and heart problems. And when he get released right now, they say that if you see him right now, he probably about $1.25 in weight, soaking wet. All the foolishness he did, and you know, you're dying in jail. So it is what it is. But the person, because he carried that name, sometimes it could be a case having the same name too, boy. Anyone ever traveled to go through the police criminal records often you gotta take your fingerprints because your name is close to something.
Me.
That is annoying sometimes
Very
because
annoying.
you gotta make sure it ain't the same place.
I think that person died with my name though, because I don't have to do it no more.
Oh, all right, you're straight then. All right, but Samuel Knowles, the fella, just having that name, that's the issue. Yeah, it is what it is. So controls issues like these allow the laundering of an estimated 5.57 billion. A lot of money. So they only pay 1.2, which they ain't too bad. Just a slap in the wrist, you know, like, don't do it again. They make trillions in a year. So 1 billion ain't at the top of. They're like, write the check and let them go away. So you want to avoid those stuff. And of course, from a reputational standard, how could you believe that kind of money every year? Guess what? They make provisions for that every year. That sounds crazy, right? Mm-hmm. They know that they will be fined at some point, so they actually, in their budgeting, they make provisions for this stuff. That ain't sound crazy. But it is what it is. Case study Wells Fargo. The ongoing scandal of Wells Fargo extended to its wealth management unit on the 13th of November. Securities Exchange Commission imposed a $3.5 million penalty. That ain't a lot, eh? That's a small fine. That's like that's money to go to Walmart with. That ain't no money. 3.5 million. Now they never admit it, but they say, you know, in the interest of time, let's just pay a fine and let's move on with our lives. They, without denying or admitting, the managers beginning in March 2012 pressured compliance officials to stop filing SDRs. You don't have time for this. This client is very profitable. You can actually Google this is a real case. So they tell the compliance team, hey, senior management, hey, we don't have time for this. Compliance doesn't generate revenue. We don't bring in no money. Yeah? So the relationship managers who bring in the money, don't rock the boat. So if you see something suspicious, leave it alone. We'll sign off on it. You agree to it, we'll move on. You see any issues with that? If senior management is telling you this, threatening you with your salary. Remember, compliance, again, we don't generate money, but we save the bank or institutions money. Because think about those fines and penalties. You know what you could do with 3.5 million? So the regulator charged Wells Fargo with failing to file suspicious reports or for delaying filing at least 50 times. You can imagine you have 50 instances where you should file. In the Bahamas, failing to file a suspicious transaction report, the fine is it 100,000 or 500,000? So if you got 50 cases with it that should have been done, you do the maths. 500,000 times 50. So how much money you got in the treasury? That's a lot of cake. That's a lot of money. So shortly after the arrival of new management, the surveillance and investigations group began receiving conflicting and confusing directions on where the files are. Remember, we have to be clear, and you should have policies and procedures that make staff aware of their obligation. But they had conflicting. They say surveillance, compliance, you all don't have to do it. Yeah, you ain't got to do it in this instance. Oh, don't worry about that. That's an issue. And it's in writing. So you see why they had to pay that fine of 3.5 million? Please ensure that your policy is one that's not just user-friendly, but clear for your line staff. And of course, we know that what may be clear for me or you may not be clear for the average staff. So you may have to have huddles, meetings, circulars, whatever, but you need to ensure that it's clear. And you remember, Tira, how we did the training exercise last year. We took staff out of the business and we took them to the airport industrial park. And for 2 days, we beat them in the head. We tried to make it as granular as possible. We even fed them. 2 days, we gave them a Subway. Then we had them down there, we gave them Subway, tea, coffee for 2 days straight. And they had to learn this stuff. That's all we could afford. Come on, ain't got no money. Why you looking at me like that? We ain't got no money. Subway, ain't nothing wrong with Subway. That's
For 2 days straight? Yeah, something wrong.
We'll bring you on lunch then. I mean, we had to go, you should see what we going through to get signed off for that. Then a nice little platter, you get the sandwich and the chips, and you get the little fountain drink.
2 days straight, though? Anyway, no.
Yeah, well, being a private bank like y'all, you know, anyhow. As a matter of fact, if it was a regular working day, you should bring you on lunch. Really. Like, yeah, I ain't got to do that. So, you have to. Sorry? Okay. So, ensure that when you, in your controls and your risk awareness, you have to have the right compliance culture. It's either you have it or you don't. Have you ever been in some institutions and look like chaos? Ain't no one know what's going on. Have you ever seen one of those? Unlike policy documents or procedures manuals, the culture of an organization's attitudes towards risk differs. And it's really based on influence. If you have a senior manager who ain't checking, what you think the front line gonna do?
Don't check.
They ain't gonna check?
Nope.
Yeah?
Slack.
Ain't no one gonna check, Ginger? If you ain't checking and you know, people watch, let's just say, it's make believe now. You got some senior managers, they come to work late, they come in dragging and, you know, necktie, the tie got across the shoulder, oh, boy, it was rough last night, and then the first said to leave, oh, I'll put it off another day. I mean, like, if you see this slack culture going on, and you're the front line, you'll tell them. I ain't balanced yet, but I'll leave that for tomorrow. Now, Terry, you know, you can't leave until you balance, right? Where you going? Right, Ginger? Where you going? And the man, you can't find the man money. Shoots. So, nearly all institutions provide some level of training to their employees, but the culture of compliance goes beyond just that once year-to-year face training. Yeah? And that's why you may have to do even more. Like, like circulars, online, perhaps taking them out of the branch. Other useful ideas include attitude towards compliance. Perhaps you may want to include that in their performance plan. Yeah? Ensure that you don't have any AML related issues because it will affect your bonus. Everyone in here get bonus. Yeah? And everyone get a healthy bonus every year, right? Sorry? What was that? You didn't get one last year? You knew the what? Financial industry? You say you didn't get one? Yeah. You say you didn't get one? Bishop, you get your bonus, right? You didn't get one last year? I don't understand. Your government then? Sorry to hear that. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out. You said you didn't get a bonus. You didn't get a bonus?
Who?
Him, Bishop.
Uh-huh.
You saying you didn't get one, Bishop?
No, they didn't get one.
Oh, okay. You government then?
No.
How could you not get a bonus? I don't understand.
Bonuses are not.
What's that?
You're not entitled to a bonus.
That's a benefit.
That's a benefit.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
Not every institution have it and every.
I mean, it's not a big one, but you still get one. I mean, yo. Oh, you didn't want it?
No, I'm just saying it's a discretionary benefit.
Yeah, that's not an entitlement.
All right. I mean, I'm just saying that I don't get. I mean, I remember.
They throw a good party though. They
Yeah, well, you get to the party now, the Christmas party
at
now.
least if you all have a Christmas party. Because you can't give me no bonus and then I got a party at the
Yeah,
office,
that
so I go
don't
work.
make true. No? I mean, it's a good thing when you get it now, I ain't gonna lie. But remember last year when I got mine, I was depressed, you were. Because I remember when how my boss did it. She called me from home. She said, I'm gonna send you an email with all the information. And you got your fingers crossed because you already got this plan, right? What you gonna do with it? Because I didn't say, well, I gotta get some curry to fill the yard in.
Yeah.
And whatever. And I don't get everything planned.
Right. We gotta factor
That's a
that.
big bonus.
No, that ain't a bonus. You get chain link fence for nothing. So,
Whatever, you can't even stop yourself from smiling.
girls behavior. And so when she said, you can open the email and but you should get them for 30 minutes. And I know she was going on her leave. Just get out of town after that, right? So I said, look at this foolishness. But all right, no problem. So when I opened the email, so I sit down, I lock my door, I sit down and I said, let me see what T-Ray them saying. Ding! I'm looking at it and I said, okay. The first thing I noticed, the decimal point the wrong place. I like, hold on now, hold on.
How about them commas?
Look at that, and I mean, and I said, and I was thinking about it for a minute, and I said, boy, look here. Okay, so I told my team, all right, I take an early day, don't call me. I turned my phone off, and they said, what happened, you ain't get your money this time again? And I said, look, don't call me, I got home, don't bother me, I know if I can be well tomorrow to come in, and it's almost near Christmas, you know how they do it with us, like a week before Christmas, and I said, I don't know, they say it's the flu again, I said, listen here, how could you plan for the flu? I said, tomorrow, I don't know if I got the flu. Because these people joking, man. I was so mad. I turn off light, turn off computer, everything, and I go home and came back to work. Huh? If I did what?
Bend the hour.
Yeah. How you know? She saw me a day. Yeah, let's go right by our key with looking over the lighthouse, just I'm a little mystic and everything. And you should see me having a debate. Yeah.
No, you didn't collect gold or something like
No, I ain't go extreme. But I mean, I was having a conversation with myself.
You saving them. Patsy son saved.
No, but I can't afford that no more. Naturally crazy. But the thing about it, you have that big debate. And I know I did enough this year. The performance plan, I thought I exceeded. And then they say the money ain't there. But why you gonna do this? Why you doing like last year the same thing? The same, you have the.
Are you able to determine your staff's bonus? Are you given a pool and you could allocate?
I sat in on some meetings, and the sad thing is this: I saw some letters for the staff, and the person who under me, and I see what she getting, I like, oh, you're more than me, and I said, what? And they said, oh, she really did push this year, and I said, look, I said, she under me, and she get more than me, and I was like, wow. I was so depressed, boy. I was hot, boy. You should see me talking to myself in the car, Yes, I was hot that day. But the thing about it, it is what it is. Like you said, it ain't guaranteed you can get a bonus. But it's nice to get it,
So this year you ain't spending it before you get that round.
You have goals that you want to, everyone have goals and you like to, you just think about it for a second. You push. That year you push. You come in on Saturdays. After church on Sundays, you say, you do 2 hours here. And you do a little extra stuff and you just hoping that they'll remember you and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hope that they'll remember.
Just how you say you get paid for your signature, that's built into your salary. Managers are expected to have to put an extra time.
Listen.
Yeah, you see that? You see that? She wait for them.
I just,
Thanks, man. Thanks for looking out for me. I really appreciate it.
I just trying to.
No, but no, for the rest of the year after
that's
that.
realistic.
No, I mean it was realistic because after that, I did go back to work. But boy, I was just doing enough. Just to get me through the rest of the year. I was like, yeah, they say, oh, Randy, you normally do that. I say, yeah, but I got something come up, man.
Right.
I gonna go slow after that. But once the new year starts, you don't get over it and you get back to normal again. But it's like, I ain't all about money now. I wasn't mad or nothing like that. Because when she's telling me, she was mad too. They gave me one lousy 60,000. And what am I supposed to do with that? I said, you get, let's think about this for a second. Let's think about this for a second. She gets 60,000. She want to know what she can do with that for Christmas. You see what you give me, and you want me to feel sorry for you. And I said, but listen, the things I was saying to her in my head. I mean, I didn't say it, but the things I was talking to her, I was like, 60 grand.
Right.
You could buy a piece of property with that. Mm-hmm. And she crying, what am I supposed to do with this? And I said, I had to think about it. She even ain't here. My boss in another territory. But I guess 60,000. No, Jamaica.
Oh, that's 60 USA.
Yeah, but I mean, when
Okay.
you think about it, I mean, that's like $1 gazillion in their money, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying, I mean, when you do the conversion, yeah. So I feel sorry for her. Ain't no one crying for me. I supposed to feel sorry.
Just like the fella to 175.
But 175 ain't nothing to talk about though, because if you want to
60? Come on, man.
62. The young children,
Man,
the
you
young.
ain't got no young, no churn. Yeah, right there.
I put it on your desk.
Yeah, that's an extra one.
You can pass it back.
There you go.
This is a copy of today's 175. And we had boy, we was wilding out at the office the other day. We talking about what we would do if we win the lottery and all that stuff. Boy. Sorry, the what?
Is there an extra one?
If not, you could borrow and someone could take a copy. Now, the capstone, I would have given you guys a handout last week. Yeah? So what I did, I have some additional information to give you on that for,
That's a bet. Extra. Okay.
yeah, I got some additional information to give you.
Shut up. Your block shut up. Cross the line. Pay your fine.
I don't think I have that many copies, so I might have to do some.
I don't know. I can't say.
Dang. You gotta remember, I sort of like have to buy these, so I do what I'm.
Why just don't email it and just we print ourselves?
A lot of people, they.
Email
So what I can do,
something.
I can make a copy of the front desk. I got 2 more here. So 1 second. With this one here, with the capstone, you'll get a copy for you.
Something different?
Some additional information I've given you. This is again another cheat sheet again. So like if you look at, you could pair up just so you can look at it. I'll give you a copy. Everyone have a copy they can look at at least?
No.
Y'all can? Oh Lord, Delarice.
My name is not Delarice.
So you everyone,
Delarice is a beautiful name, but it's not mine.
so after the question, I have a little point there saying make sure you mention like number 1, FATF, Egmont, OECD. Number 2, poker.
We looking at the same thing?
Yeah.
Let me get another copy. 1 sec.
Poker?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 2018. All right. This is amazing. Mama trying to raise me. Yeah, nobody. Stay sorry.
I was thinking that, so you know what I did.
All right, I got some more. Jesus, dead, I know. Who let you guys? Who didn't get you got one? No, I didn't.
Or use the most recent ones on this back. So about 10 minutes. It is irrelevant.
give you this one. So everyone go? Yeah? Okay, so again, it's another cheat sheet. You would have gotten some information last class that you could refer to. But this one I have highlighted there. Some of the sections that you could quote and you could get information from. Like in question number 1A. You can refer to the FATF standard. Egmont, I think we did touch on Egmont. If not, Egmont really is the group of FIUs. If you want to be recognized as an established FIU financial intelligence unit, you would want to aspire to be a part of this organization. I don't know what the count now is, but back in the day when I was there, it's like 149, maybe even much more now, countries who have FIUs that are part of this group. Yeah? Wolfsburg, I'm sure you heard with Wolfsburg questionnaires all the time. Source documents, whatever open source you can get, perhaps from Google, include. Now, number 1B, in answering that, you could also refer to POCA, Proceeds of Crime Act, 2018 version, because there were some amendments. Yeah? Anti-Terrorism Act, 2018. PWMD. You know what that is, right? Mm-hmm. Weapons of mass destruction. Yeah? Proliferation, weapons of mass destruction. That's why we had to amend the Terrorist Act to include that. The FTRA was updated. FTRR, Financial Transaction Reporting Regulation. So you could include those because the question was asked, outline legal and regulatory framework that are being put in place to mitigate threats to the licensees. You want to use something current, and you could say what the new amendments and how they would impact your financial institution. Yeah? 2A, you want to select a sector, risk-based assessment by sector. You just define which sector. If you're in insurance, you go with that. If you're real estate, banking, depending on what sector you use. They're all financial institutions, but you'll say, hey, I'm going to be looking at the insurance or gaming or whatever sector. Yeah? And then which risk-based assessment you're going to be using and the controls that are in place by country and the sector. Because when you think about the Bahamas, we do have what is called a national risk assessment. Yeah? And based on that, for the various sectors, they can take guidance from that. Yeah? And last but not least, that would be 2B, the NRA, the National Risk Assessment. We have to complete those. We just completed one. You should be able to get that online, the National Risk Assessment. I think it's on the government webpage, Bahamas government. Yeah? Select a sector again and the guidance that was provided. In the National Risk Assessment, it speaks to all the sectors. So you can go and you could actually lift that. If you do lift it, you have to give credit and say, according to the National Risk Assessment, the sector that I'm looking at, maybe banking, it says that A, B, and C needs to be done. These are the controls we should implement, adopt, whatever. But you have to give credit. If you don't give credit, it's like stealing. Intellectually stealing is plagiarism. You can't take credit for someone else's work. Yeah? And again, the word count, just a quick reminder, I think it's about 2,500. So if you got the word count of 2,500, be mindful of that. The question put to me earlier by Ginger was that how deep do you go with the terrorism? I think you were talking about the terrorism earlier. Yeah, you don't need to go too granular. You just need to touch on the key points, such as perhaps suggestion that is terrorism is harder to detect as opposed to money laundering because it can come from two streams such as legit as well as illegitimate, and we're now focusing on proliferation and stuff like that. So it's even more complex than the average money laundering profit as opposed to actual death or threats or something like that. Yeah? Because ultimately it's about killing people. So you now have this along with the first cheat sheet. And I suspect by next weekend you should have perhaps something in writing by now. By then, I should say. Yeah? And the good thing about it, you just plug away, and you should be good. All of the answers to all of your questions are in the handouts that you got. Your Bible, this guide here, and along with, if you go online to the various suggested points right here, such as your NRA, POCA. And what you could do too is for FOCO, you can probably save that as a favorite. I know I do at work, so when you have to refer to a lot of stuff, correspondence and stuff, you just, have it as a favorite. Just like with your UN watches and different search engines, have those favorites. Yeah? Make sense? So if you, by next week, have rough draft or have any idea, we can go over. And again, you have your 30 minutes to go over that short presentation again. So it'll stick. And again, it's an overlap from our previous class, because some of it is overlapping. Did everyone get a copy of this? Except for Bishop, First Lady, you need to get a copy of this, right? Something else did anyone did not get a copy of the handout, the capstone? You need to get a copy. There's a register there. Everyone sign up. The register is going to be part of your. Anyone didn't sign this? I had it here. Someone else has to give you a copy. I only made so many, papers for them. They're tough now. Yeah, give me a bonus.
Where's the register, please? Someone, anyone?
Right here. You need to sign it because
10 points.
yeah, I mean, unless you don't need it.
10%.
Well, 10%, 10 points, okay.
Alright, same thing.
Galleries you sign, right?
Which galleries? AOB.
Yes, my name on there. My name is very much present.
Galleries here? Okay.
I don't want to lose that
Right
10%.
here in church, you call me Kelly.
Someone told me to call you Galleries last week. Someone didn't call it Galleries? Yeah, I was thinking about that Wednesday.
Hold on, what date is the Wednesday?
That'd be leading up to the 19th is a Friday, right?
That's right. Not the
Yeah,
same
so the
following.
17th.
Yeah.
It's the Wednesday.
That's good. You get us some in advance. I mean, well, Miss Act, yeah, I got
But the thing is, you didn't even ask me yet what my name is. That's what killing me.
But you ain't, okay, you're not Galleries.
No, I'm not Delries.
Yeah, sign your name, please, so we can, we can start calling you then.
My name done been on the register.
Is down there?
Yes.
You all hear me calling the woman and you all types, man. Thanks.
Boy.
Mama trying to say name.
Never. My name is Aisha.
I could have swear you wouldn't remember answering that before.
No, you calling it. You calling it.
You said, okay.
Never have I answered. Beautiful name, just not mine.
Oh Lord, Delary, I know she looking at me sideways now.
No. At least I know you remember me when you mark me.
Oh Lord, look at that now. Look at getting bribed and all. Look at that. Man, don't do it.
Make sure I remember that name.
Boy, look here. That's my boss. Remember me bonus time. She forget me too.
Have a good weekend.
All right, Della.
Mr. Taylor, I asked me, you know nothing about COVID.
Who?
But you say it was this champion here, right?
No. Miss Dean. Miss Dean.
Ask me.
Not him. He's in there for you. That's we was lock you up.
Oh, no, we don't lock no one up.
I asked. She just said she didn't know which day, so we just made things.
No, you Miss Dean. Miss Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a good time. Either the old man? We had a good time. Too late.
All right, stay in the trouble.
Well, I know you said.
Is that? Oh, shit. They talking about bonjour.